Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. So, let's kick into it. My name is Imre Nagy. I'm running product and engineering at Colossyan. We are a startup that started roughly 4 years ago, and we are making deepfakes. I'm going to show it in a second. I joined the company back in the day in its infancy, when we were only the founders and a part-time developer and myself, and I spent the first 1.5 years building the product quite intensively. And then I moved on as we gained more traction on the financial side of the business, as well as on the product was maturing. We went to investors, we asked for money, we got money, and then I basically transitioned from building the product itself to building the engineering department, and very recently I took over the product department. So this is about me. I'm going to talk about culture, and I'm going to structure this presentation into the following steps. First, I'm going to introduce just a little bit. We're just going to touch on what Colossyan is. I'm going to show you a very cool result of what we are generating. Then I'm going to go a little bit into theory, what culture is. Then I'm going to introduce you to an ideal, hypothetical hiring process, how it looks like, in my opinion. Next one is going to be the meat of the talk, the culture interview. What it is, what's the point of it, how I think it should be done correctly. Then we're going to go into just touch on how we and I evaluate the outcome of a culture interview. Then how this system sometimes fails us, no matter how hard we try. And then I'm going to do a quick recap. Okay, so let's kick into it. Colossyan. Colossyan is our product. I'm only going to talk about our product. Our product is a video generation platform, a web-based video generation platform. Imagine Google Slides, and you get most of it. The extra stuff, which is not in Google Slides, is that you have this avatar panel here where you can click, and then you can select from a library of human avatars. We have a studio, they come in, we record them speaking, and then at the end of it, instead of generating a PowerPoint presentation, we are generating a video in which your chosen actor is going to speak in a very convincing manner. Okay, so this is our product, basically. This is an example video, hopefully it's going to show you. This is one of our latest and greatest.
Hello, I'm Sarah Davis, and I'm part of the team here at the Department of Public Services. I've been working in public service for over 5 years, and my job is to help people access the programs and services they need. Whether you're here for assistance with documents, program information, or general inquiries, I'm happy to guide you through the process and make it as easy as possible. It's important to me to serve our community, and I'm here to ensure that everyone gets the support they deserve. I look forward to helping you.
So this lady never said any of these words, and this was generated within roughly 10 seconds after uploading the video. You can already use it, and you can just type what you want them to say. You select the voice and the language what you want them to use, and then it's generated within a few minutes. This is the product. Okay. All right. Enough about me and the company. Let's talk about the culture. What culture is, in my opinion? I think culture is essentially how we behave. So culture is equivalent, in my opinion, to behavior, and this includes also what we're doing and what we are not doing. Eventually, as a company grows from the very early sort of founding team, some of these behavioral patterns in the community, they form norms. These norms are going to be kind of like the cornerstones of what is the expected and tolerated behavior of the group as we mature as an organization. The problem with norms is that these are really difficult to change, right? So if you come from a company where writing tests, for example, is not part of the stack, we are not doing it, right? We are just pushing things out, we are pushing everything to production as fast as possible, then changing it, moving from this culture to something that's more maintainable is going to be a very difficult stuff. This is the problem here. So how do companies try to manage culture, right? I really like this quote. The previous head of engineering at Medium sent out a letter to all of their engineering organization, and it talks about how they are trying to tackle this problem. And I think it really summarizes it very well. Our engineering organization is committed to the notion of distributed authority and individual empowerment. To facilitate this, we need alignment around common values and goals, because the alternative is to regress into a command and control system. So what they are talking here is essentially they are saying that there are two ways to modify the behavior of the collection, right? One is we try to stay aligned against common values. This allows us to retain distributed decision-making power, or we can regress into a command and control system. This is what people like to describe as micromanagement. Somebody tells me what to do, and I have to behave like that, right? This is how they are trying to shape collective behavior and norms. I was challenged by this when I did a trial run of this talk by Ákos, and I was thinking why. Ákos asked me, why is micromanagement inherently bad? Why do people try to stay aligned within values? And why not? Why do we have this connotation that micromanagement is essentially bad? And this is the best idea that I could come up with. I was really thinking about this. I think retaining distributed decision-making authority allows your company to have a essentially lower bus factor. Essentially, your organization's decision-making capability is going to scale better because you won't have as many single individuals whom, if you lose, your company becomes paralyzed. Okay, this was a sidetrack. Let's get back to values, right? So this is where we ended up. So we started with culture. Culture is behavioral patterns in a community, right? These are formed into norms. And we are trying, in a good setup, if you want to avoid micromanagement and command and control systems, you want to align against values. This is essentially the theory. Let's move into, now I'm going to imply this into Colossyan's perspective, because I can only talk about what we are doing, and then I'm going to go through the hiring process and what the culture interview for us looks like. So Colossyan has 5 values, and this is not something that the management came up with, by the way. I want to make this very clear. The values are not something that management should come up with. The values are something that the founding core team comes up with, because it's about the behavior. It's not about what you write on the website. It's about when you come to work and you see how we are aligning every single day. That's the values. So what our values are: we are trying to be a customer-obsessed company. We are trying to work really hard. We're trying to retain a high ownership environment. We're trying to say it clearly, straightforward, and we're not trying to, fluff around it. And we're trying to have fun while we're doing it. This is Colossyan. Everything is going to come together at some point. Don't worry about it. Next one, hiring process. Just really quickly, let's recap how a good hiring process, in my opinion, should look like. We have a screening interview. The screening interview should the main goal of the screening interview is to cover basics, to make sure that the person who runs the technical and the culture interview, their time is not wasted on low value applicants, right? Basic expectations. Then we have a technical interview. You can have a manager interview. You can have all kinds of stuff here. Already, a little bit of cultural assessment is bleeding into this, because when you're having the technical interview, the person who is interviewing me is bringing a little bit from the company. And then we have a culture interview, which is all about value alignment, whether your personal values can be matched up against the values of the company that you're about to join. Okay, that's it for hiring interview. Let's go into culture interview. So our culture interview is the amalgamation of 4 years of trial and error. So this is what we came up with. This is what worked for the best of us, worked the best for us. So let's go through it. It consists of 4 steps. The first one is level. I'm going to talk about these bit by bit, and I'm going to go much more in depth. But the order is already important. So first one is level setting. Second one is we're talking about the candidate. Third one, I'm going to talk about the company. Fourth one, we're going into traditional Q&A, assessing soft skills and stuff like that. So let's go one by one. Level setting. First, very, very first of all, I don't really like the term cultural interview, because I really want to set the scene such that this is not really an interview. I want to have a conversation. And if this is an interview, then I am just as much on an interview as the candidate himself or themselves. They have the opportunity to look into the company's internals, and they have the opportunity to assess whether our internal workings match the profile that they are looking for, okay? So this shouldn't really be framed as an interview. You're not coming here to pass. It shouldn't be. This is the most important part that I could give to the audience here. If you're a developer and you are going to a culture interview, honestly, my greatest advice is to just be yourself, because the worst thing that can happen to you is that you go into it with the mindset that you're trying to match every question's expectation, and you're going to, and then at the end of it, you will realize that you joined a company because you succeeded the interview, that you didn't even want it to, right? Because it doesn't fit your personal values. So Level setting is all about explaining this to the candidate, explaining that honesty goes a long way, explaining that they have a really good opportunity right now to look into all the bad stuff that's happening within the company. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. If you ask me whether we have loads of tech debt, I'm going to say yes, we have loads of tech debt. If you want clean code, don't join to us, right? Because this is not the company. This is kind of like explaining that we need to have an honest conversation. Then we are focusing on the candidate. Notice that first I'm talking about the candidate and afterwards I'm only introducing the company. The reason for this is if I introduce the company's expectations first, the candidate is going to present themselves in a light to match those expectations. I don't want them to know what our cultural expectations are yet. I would like to feel them out first. What are you looking for? What are you trying to achieve? What is your career progression looking like? What kind of management style are you looking for? What is it that you're trying to avoid? These kind of questions. I even ask what kind of other companies did you apply to? If I find someone who is applying to all kinds of companies, I applied to Bosch and I applied to Colossyan. I ask, what are you looking for? Why are you applying to two completely different profile company? What is it that you want actually? Because I want to make sure that there is value alignment, again, between your preferences and the company's needs. Once we are through this, that's my time, I'm going to talk about the company's expectation. And this is where I go into the nitty-gritty of the 5 values. What does it mean for us to be customer obsessed at this company? It means that engineers talk to customers. And this is non-questionable. If you don't want to talk to customers because we don't have those capabilities, then you shouldn't join us if you don't like to do this. What does hard work mean for us? Hard work means that we expect overtime work, that there will be weekend work, and we won't pay for it. This is what you can expect. I want to put very clear expectations on the table, because if it doesn't fit with your lifestyle, then I don't want you here, because I will find another candidate who will be meeting these expectations, and you will find another job which will fit your expectations much better. Another one, candid, transparent communication. I hope that this is coming through as I'm talking, not sugarcoating things. You can like this or not like this. This is what we are. Fourth one. What is the fourth one? Ownership, high ownership. The way I like to introduce high ownership is that we have a lot of chaos, and it's your job to navigate it. I think this is the best way to describe it. You're not going to find extremely well-written tasks if you join us as an engineer. 90% of the time you will find a title, and then you have to figure out the rest, right? That's high ownership for me. Not standing there, not just like, hey, how am I going to go over from this? Asking, pursuing, going afterwards, fixing it. That's high ownership. Next one, fun. This is a style of environment. We would like to work with people who enjoy the chaos, who enjoy this persevering mentality that's within us, right? You are going to join. If you match this, you are most likely going to join a group of people who are very similar, right? If you like that kind of environment, join us. Let's have fun together. So this is part of this was the company bit, and then we go into like a Q&A. Usually, candidates, I found that after I give them this little pitch, they have a few questions about the internals, right? I like to think that this is a very thought-provoking speech, and that they have a lot of questions about the details, and I'm very, very happy to answer them. I also have a few questions which are more about soft skill assessment. A few of them, which I really like and I found to be working very well, is assessing communication skills. I like to ask people to teach me something on the spot, something new, something that anything, and it can be anything. Someone taught me how to hitchhike, this kind of stuff. It divides people. Some people like froze and they don't know what to do, and other people like instantly get into it and they just start flowing, and then I just stop them like, okay, you match, let's go, next one. Another good question that I found to work very well is, if I would be your manager, what would be your advice to me to skip the first 3 months of foreplay, of getting to know each other, right? So you know yourself. This is all about mindfulness. This is all about knowing your own personality, right? What advice could you give to me for us to speed up the getting to know each other in the beginning? What is it that I can effectively start managing you from the very get-go? So these kind of traditional questions. Let's talk about how do we evaluate this, because this is still really, really, really subjective, right? Well, the way we are trying to tackle the subjectivity of all of this is that we have a standardized form. After all of this, I'm going to talk about it at the failures. This is not really a scalable way, but we have a standard form where after we have a cultural assessment interview, We enter all of our thoughts based on standard questions that we have of the candidate. We have a guiding principle, which is any doubt equals no doubt. If you have doubt within you that someone might not work with the hard work, for example, or someone wouldn't be compatible with the chaos that we have inside, then that usually triggers a rejection on this, like, immediately. This all sounds really good, right? This sounds like we figured it out. Let's see how does this system fail us. This is still really subjective. This is really, really subjective. And because of the subjectivity of it, this doesn't scale well. What I mean about this is that the company is currently at a headcount of, I think, somewhere between 80 and 100. Honestly, I have no idea. And still only 2 people are doing cultural assessment, Dominic and myself. Next one, that this is a... Sometimes when you have really good talent or when you have time pressure on the hire, we can compromise on this. And I know that I have been guilty of this. We have had times when we really tried to hire to a role and we really needed someone on board, and we were not as strict as we should have been. And this is not foolproof. I tried to get you some statistics about, because if this is the perfect flow, then we should have incredible attrition, and we should have no one should ever quit Colossyan because we are so incredibly culturally aligned. This is not the case, but I couldn't get numbers to because our HR system, I just couldn't extract any numbers. And then let's recap very quickly. So culture equals behavior. The collective behavior sets norms for new joiners to follow. Norms are really hard to change. How do we tackle this problem? We can align ourselves against values, or we can choose the command and control path. I think if you have this distributed decision-making authority, then you will have a more scalable and more resilient system as an organization. Our culture interview that turned out to be working for us, the best so far, consists of 4 steps: level setting, focusing on the candidate's values, focusing on the company, introducing it, and then traditional Q&A. Even with all of this, this is still subjective. It doesn't look like it's going to scale, and it fails from us from time to time. And I think that's it. Thank you very much.